From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
The home of March Madness may have even more hoops on the way. It's breaking news we're following here on the News at Noon. Coming up, how another big tournament appears to be on its way just a few weeks from now. We'll get to that top story in just a minute. But first, I want to welcome you in here to the News at Noon. I'm Lauren Casey. Meteorologist Todd Clausen is standing by from his home this midday. Todd, we have some changes in the forecast for later today.
Yeah, rain's getting ready to make its way into central Indiana, Lauren. In fact, it's raining and even snowing a little bit in some areas right now. I wouldn't really worry too much about the snow. You may see a few flakes at the onset of the precipitation, and then the rain is going to take over. And as you look at a WRTV Storm Team radar, a lot of this that you see right here is not even reaching the ground yet. The air is still very, very dry, but there's plenty of more rain off to our west that's going to have to rotate through here during the course of the afternoon. So if you do have afternoon plans, definitely have the umbrella heavy. Any accumulating snow is going to be pushed across the northern portion of the state. It should not impact us here in central Indiana, but there will be a little bit of mixing that'll take place in northern locations. But with temperatures at or above freezing, it shouldn't impact the roadways all that much during the daytime hours. But what's going to happen is the winds are going to pick up throughout the course of the day today as well. And as soon as this precipitation comes to an end later on this evening, temperatures are going to drop very, very quickly. So we're hovering above freezing through 7 p.m. But whatever moisture is out there will turn to ice overnight tonight as the temperatures get down to about 20 degrees by tomorrow morning. More on that coming up in just a few minutes. Lauren.
Todd, thank you. Breaking this midday, all of March Madness on the men's side is already coming here to Indy. Now even more college basketball appears to be on its way due to pandemic restrictions elsewhere. Today, a source tells WRTV that the Big Ten Conference will soon announce the move of its men's basketball tournament from Chicago to Indianapolis next month. One possible reason for that move is there are looser pandemic restrictions here in Indiana as opposed to the Chicago area right now. The conference tournament is scheduled to take place March 10th through the 14th. There's no word yet on whether fans will be allowed to attend those games. This week, Governor Holcomb did open up events in most Indiana counties to a limit of 25% capacity. Now, the Big Ten men's tournament also in Indianapolis for the year 2020. However, it's also an early victim of the coronavirus pandemic. If you remember from last year, the first round of games were played here at Bankers Life Fieldhouse on March 11th of last year, but the rest of the tournament was canceled the next day as the events nationwide began shutting down. Now, of course, right after the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA men's tournament is scheduled to take place entirely around the Indianapolis area. Games will be played at multiple venues in Indy, as well as Mackey Arena up in West Lafayette and Assembly Hall down in Bloomington. The plan is to have all of the teams staying in more than 2,500 hotel rooms downtown connected to the Indiana Convention Center. And there's extensive planning in place with health officials on conducting COVID-19 testing for everyone involved. Well, the news comes as COVID-19 numbers have been on a downward trend here in Indiana. However, new cases did rise slightly today. The state health department reports more than 2,400 new cases of COVID-19. 37 additional deaths were also reported. More than 11,000 Hoosiers have now died with the virus. As for the vaccine rollout, more than 637,000 Hoosiers have now gotten at least their first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. More than 178,000 people in our state are now fully vaccinated. Efforts to get the COVID vaccine to more Hoosiers are underway already. Just last week, the state announced a partnership with Meijer, Kroger, and Walmart to give out the vaccine. And a new federal partnership with the supermarket pharmacies will expand vaccination efforts even further.
We all know what a difficult period this has been, and this gives us something, a cause of optimism as we look toward a normal life.
Well, at the earliest, Eric Halverson there with Kroger says appointments will be available at all Indiana Kroger pharmacy locations beginning a week from today. A Walmart spokesperson tells us a list of stores participating in this federal program will be available, quote, in the coming weeks. In an effort to encourage more Hoosiers to get the COVID vaccine, the state is planning to air a new commercial during the Super Bowl. It features the family of Paul Logan. You may remember he's the former North Central High School athletic director who died from COVID last April.
When my dad was sick in the hospital, that was the longest 12 days of my life. Just sitting there not knowing each morning if he's alive. I want to tell people, like, this is serious, and this vaccine will save people.
Again, you can see that full commercial on Sunday night. And a reminder right now in Indiana, long-term care residents, first responders, and healthcare workers are eligible to receive the vaccine, as well as anyone 65 and older. You can make an appointment by going to ourshot.in.gov or by calling 211. President Biden says he's optimistic that he can get Republican support for his large COVID-19 relief bill, but he's also signaling a willingness to move ahead without Republicans. ABC's Andrew Dimber says there are still disagreements over the amount of direct stimulus payment to Americans, as well as the almost $2 trillion price tag.
Hashing out COVID relief in the Oval Office with Senate Democrats this week, President Joe Biden sounding confident Republicans will get on board.
We'll get Republican support.
While there are some areas of agreement between both sides,
our view is that this bill itself is bipartisan.
the cost of the White House's $1.9 trillion proposal is a non-starter for Republicans who prefer their $600 billion version.
But experts agree the remaining damage to our economy does not require another multi-trillion-dollar non-targeted Band-Aid.
While President Biden continues to push for a bipartisan agreement, he's reassuring struggling Americans and his party aid will come with or without Republicans. His Treasury Secretary telling Good Morning America,
"This is really an urgent need, and we need to act big."
Democrats and Republicans also disagreeing over the size of direct relief payments. Biden suggesting he's not willing to budge on $1,400, but would consider limiting those checks to lower-income Americans.
When people are hurting, when they owe back rent, when they can't afford to feed their kids, when they can't afford to go to the doctor, that we need to get cash into the pockets of those people as soon as we possibly can.
But Senate Democrats are preparing to forge ahead without any GOP votes.
We must be strong. We cannot dawdle, we cannot delay, we cannot dilute.
Meanwhile, late last night, the House approving its reconciliation bill, and the Senate will follow suit by week's end. That will allow each chamber to pass a coronavirus relief package without a single Republican vote. Now, this all has to be done and signed by the president by March 14th because that's when current federal jobless benefits expire. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, Washington.
Well, it's a delay causing distress for families who are already grieving. Next, we'll have an update from WRTV Investigates on what's causing the backlog and what the state is doing to fix the problem. Todd.
And Lauren, we're starting to see the precipitation move into central Indiana. And there's a little bit of snow at the beginning of the precipitation when it starts in your neighborhood, but it quickly goes over to rain. It turns into a very wet afternoon for us ahead. We'll talk all about it coming up in your WRTV Storm Team Forecast.
Welcome back. New this midday, twin teenage brothers have been charged with a unique burglary at a gun store on the west side of Indianapolis. The two are accused of breaking into 500 guns on West 16th near Tibbs Avenue last month. Police say that a car drove into the side of the gun store building early in the morning of January 22nd. They say the suspects then stole at least 6 guns from the store. Metro Police say they used tips from the community to track down the twin suspects this week. The State Department of Health says it's getting closer to addressing delays for families who are receiving their loved ones' death certificates. This is an update to a story WRTV Investigates brought you last month. The state switched over to a new birth and death registration system called Drive that started in the new year. But WRTV Investigates has found more than 900 deaths from the end of 2020 did not get transferred into this new system, which means families are left in limbo, unable to settle estates and insurance claims. Indiana's health commissioner says only 32% of providers like doctors, coroners, and funeral directors have signed up for the new system.
And that is despite months, and I'm going to tell you months of reaching out to providers and telling them every time they got in and certified at birth, certified at death, hey, this is going away. You need to sign up for the new system. We have sent emails. We have sent letters. We have asked PLA to blanket every provider out there. I've worked with the Hospital Association.
Well, Dr. Bach says that the new system is working and has successfully completed more than 15,000 births and deaths in Indiana. She says they're working to address a backlog of complaints related to delayed death certificates. A pregnancy during a pandemic is tough, but the issues don't end after the child is born. Next, navigating a pandemic postpartum and how one woman is helping new mothers through fitness. And let's take a live look outside right now. This is our view on top of our tower camera here in downtown Indy. We know rain is on its way to the Circle City. We'll check in with Todd with the timing on that, plus look ahead to a frigid weekend here across the state. That's all coming up here on the News at Noon. Welcome back. Many women are going through pregnancy, delivery, and postpartum for the first time during a global pandemic. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us now with how one woman is working to help fellow new moms navigate these changes.
Whether it's lifting, cardio, or a mixture of both, many of us find mental clarity in working out and staying fit. And Indiana native Sarah Bomar says whether you're pregnant or in postpartum, you don't have to give that up. Sarah Bomar is from South Bend, Indiana. She went through her first pregnancy last year, and now her baby Oakley is 6 months old. As this was her first pregnancy, Bomar noticed there was a lot of misinformation out there on what women can and cannot do while they're pregnant and in postpartum. So the certified personal trainer got another certification in prenatal and postpartum fitness training while she was pregnant. She then created this free guide for women to go to for all of their prenatal and postpartum questions in regards to fitness and nutrition.
Because there's free bad information out there, so I wanted to make a guide with free good information for women, because it's very overwhelming when you're pregnant. All the books and everyone's opinions and all the doctor's appointments, and you start researching all of these things and everything contradicts everything.
Bomar says even if you are 5 or more years postpartum, this guide can still be helpful to you. She says it doesn't matter when you start. She just wants women to know this.
You don't have to live in a body that doesn't make you feel good just because you had a baby.
Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
All right, let's take a turn right now to our forecast in Todd Klassen. We have a lot to talk about, Todd, a lot coming up here in central Indiana. Not great things, but what do you have for us?
You know, there is really a lot to talk about, Lauren, so we'll dive right into it. And we've picked up our first few snowflakes out on western portions of the state. Here's a live look in Greencastle, and if you look close enough, you can see a few flakes falling. You'll probably see a little bit of light snow at the onset of the precipitation, and then it'll go over to all rain. But here's the good news. Temperatures right now are above freezing. We're at 35 in Indy, 37 in Shelbyville. So once we get past just an initial burst of a few snow showers like you see here on a radar, we're going to go over to rain fairly quickly. If you do see any snow showers moving in, it's not going to cause any issues on the roadways or accumulation. The heavier precipitation is still back off to our west and central Illinois, and it stretches all the way back towards Kansas City. It's going to turn into a very wet afternoon for us all across the area, and there could be some pockets of heavier rainfall as well. And once we get towards sunset, once again, we could bring in a little bit of a wintry mix, especially here in northern locations. However, at this point, temperatures are still above freezing, so anything that does fall will mainly just stick on grassy areas, and it would have to be pretty intense bands of snow like you see here in Muncie as well as Richmond. So for most of us, this is just a rain event moving through, a cold rain, and it's going to turn very windy here throughout the course of the day. But for those of you to the north where temperatures will cool just a little bit quicker, it's not another question. There could be some minor snow accumulation, less than an inch on the backside of this system as it starts to move out. And you can see when the temperatures start to get back towards the freezing mark, it's going to be right around 9, 10 o'clock, and then we'll be in the 20s at midnight. And when you start to wake up tomorrow morning, we're going to be in the upper teens to right around 20 degrees. That means any moisture that is out there is going to refreeze. And I think tomorrow morning, there's definitely going to be some slick spots across the area. I mentioned the wind. It's out of the south, which is bringing temperatures above freezing. But look how gusty it gets tonight and then throughout the overnight hours. We're looking at gusts anywhere from about 30 to 40 miles per hour before the winds start to calm as we head throughout the day tomorrow. But tomorrow's a chilly day, but quiet, with high temperatures right around freezing. Fast forward to Saturday evening, this is 8 p.m. We're going to see a quick little burst of snow come through with the leading edge of the Arctic air. And once again, Saturday night into Sunday, there could be some minor snow accumulation as this band of snow comes through. Generally 1 inch to maybe 2 inches in spots, but it will usher in that Arctic air with wind chills Sunday morning. That could be as cold as minus 25 degrees in spots. That's mainly in northern locations. Sunday only about 9 degrees for your high temperature, and then it remains pretty unsettled and cold throughout much of next week, Lauren, with numerous opportunities for snow showers and temperatures in the teens and 20s.
Thankful and excited to go into this field and be able to work with amazing healthcare workers during this difficult time.
Well, you know, here at WRTV, our Hiring Hoosiers initiative aims to connect you with resources and job opportunities. Throughout this pandemic, we're continuing to highlight a large need across the Hoosier state for healthcare workers. Our own Nicole Griffin introduces us to 2 nurses in a fast-track program who are just anxious to start working on the front lines.
Making a career change and following her passion.
I wanted to be a teacher and quickly realized that that was not the path for me.
Bridget McHugh says becoming a nurse has always been in the back of her mind.
Especially during a time like this with all the craziness going on, you definitely want to be helping out.
We're really establishing ourselves as nursing students and future nurses.
McHugh and Elizabeth Lee are both enrolled at Chamberlain University College of Nursing in Indianapolis. Students in the program, which is currently virtual, can receive their Bachelor of Science in Nursing in as little as 3 years.
For anybody that's going to school virtually, it takes a lot of extra oomph and desire and drive.
McHugh, meanwhile, is now back in clinicals but cannot take care of COVID patients.
It is really hard to not be able to do more, to be in there with those patients, taking care of them and just giving everything you have, because that's part of the pursuit of nursing.
The nursing industry needs students like McHugh and Lee to get their degree and start working. Registered nurses are currently listed in the highest demand category, according to the Indiana Department of Workforce Development.
It's hard for the nurses to be in this position where they're on a daily basis coming in day after day, seeing really difficult things, seeing people having to make really difficult decisions. I think for me, it's just reinforced how badly I want to be doing this, because having to come home and be in an online environment, it just challenges you even more.
Chamberlain University is currently enrolling nursing students to start classes on May 3rd. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
Nicole, thank you. So the 3-year program at Chamberlain University requires year-round study. The Indianapolis campus is located near Keystone at the Crossing. We have more details at hiringhoosiers.com. So more than 3 decades after the original, a long-awaited movie sequel is finally coming to America. The trailer's out now and we'll show you some of it next. Stick around. You're watching WRTV News at Noon.
Must pass to a male heir. Hakim, it appears you have a son who must be found.
Prepare the royal jet. We are going back to America. Oh, hell no, Your Majesty. Come on!
Well, if you're a fan of the first movie, you only have 1 month to wait for the sequel. Amazon Prime Video has released the official trailer for Coming to America. That's with the number 2. It's coming out more than 32 years after that original hit movie. Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, and the characters they played in that first movie, they're coming back. But the sequel also features Leslie Jones, Tracy Morgan, and Wesley Snipes, among others. Coming to America premieres on Amazon Prime Video on March 5th. All right, Todd, let's get a check of our forecast again on this Thursday. Some changes are ahead.
Yeah, a lot going on. Prepare for a very wet afternoon. Some of you'll see some flakes mixed in, especially to the north, but little to no snow accumulation. Turns very windy this afternoon and overnight. Tomorrow, much colder, 20 in the morning, so slick spots possible with brief freezing. Especially watch those bridges and overpasses tomorrow morning, and then very cold through Saturday. Light snow on Saturday night, and then bitter cold weather arrives on Sunday with a high of 9 degrees. Actual temperatures below 0 with wind chills as cold, potentially as minus 25 degrees. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. And thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Come back here and join us for the news at 5. Stay dry out there. Have a great afternoon.